So there was this couple, and they were probably middle aged, and they were coming out of a restaurant and they were bickering. And this is what I heard: "Why can't you?" And the other one was like, "You always." And the other one, "Well, what if you would do this?" And it was pretty wild, and it felt a little uncomfortable and painful to listen to. So I was wondering, like, why are these people hanging out together? They don't seem like they're even getting along. But the truth is that's how we can talk to ourselves. And I was just reflecting on that and just talk about the nitpicking we can do to ourselves, unsupportive, kind of beating the crap out of ourselves in our mind. And I have to say, no more. Like, it's not good for us, and no more. So that's what we're talking about this week. I would love for you to follow me on Instagram with Live Brighter with Tara and just join the community, rate, subscribe, and pass this message along, because as friends, it's just no more. We're going to be friends with ourselves, and that's what we're talking about. So recently I noticed a really pronounced difference on how I felt with some people, and I noticed some people would add to my energy and others would really deplete it. And it wasn't until I was with a friend that I was feeling depleted by that she mentioned how she is to herself, like super mean. And I realized that that's what it was. That's what it is. It's like, if we are mean to ourselves, then we're hurting ourselves. And as a herder, we are taking energy. We automatically need to take energy because we're in a wounded state. And I just, because of my own challenges, I became very sensitive because I didn't have a lot of energy and I was very depleted. I became very sensitive to that. And so it's just, really made me realize the impact that can have on our friendships and our relationships when we're not being nice to ourselves and we're in that depleted state. So we're going to talk about becoming friends with ourselves and a few things we need to agree on before we can become friends with ourselves and become better friends is, first of all, we all suck and we're all amazing, but we really do. We all suck too. And that's okay. Number two, we've all made mistakes. None of us are perfect. Number three, we are living a human experience with, you can just assume, comes with challenges, failures, potential regrets, things like that. It is a human experience here. This is not nirvana. This is not heaven. We are going to say and do things that are not helpful and that could be hurtful. And people are going to say and do things to us that are not helpful and that are hurtful, because this is a human experience. And number four, again, we're not perfect. I just think about like how perfectionism is, and I have a whole episode on that, but perfectionism is very toxic. And like, if we hold ourselves to that standard, we're never going to achieve it because none of us are perfect. And I think about some of my values, as far as like, truthfulness, faithfulness, all this stuff. If I look at any of my main values, there are times when I have blown right through those for myself, like, hypocritically, and just knowing that none of us are ideal or perfect, even with our own values, as much as we try to be, and there are values, just knowing we're not. And number five, we're all loved and we're created intentionally. And we're going to talk more about that in the next episode because it's the truth about ourselves. And that's what we're going to talk about next episode. But it's super important to know that we are all loved. We're loved and created by God and with intentional purpose. We'll go again deeper into that next time. So in order to change and become better friends with ourselves, we have to understand something. The longest long-term relationship you and I are ever going to have in our lives is with ourselves. And so it is super important to have a friendship with ourselves and not be like that couple I was talking about in the beginning. Because again, it adds to our energy, it adds to our wellness, it adds to our experience, and it puts us just in a higher frequency, a higher state. And that's a beautiful thing for many levels. So in order to change, it has to start with number one. It has to start with a decision. I don't think people are just nicer to themselves unintentionally. I think it has to be a choice, a decision. Like, you know what? I agree. I think this is super important. And I am going to start with a decision to be a kind, loving, and a better friend to myself. So decide. And then the second thing we have to understand is our brains are like toddlers with a scissors or a knife in hand. And so they aren't like illogical. They just have their own parameters. Whereas like what is very logical to a toddler as an adult isn't always that logical. So toddlers do what toddlers do. And so if we understand that our brain is like that, then we can treat it like a toddler in the sense that, okay, if a toddler does something mean, bites their sister, we don't like rail on them and just, I can't believe you. It's like, that hurt your sister. Like, just kind of correct it. It's like that. And why? It's like that hurt your sister. And in the case of correcting, and be like, hey, that wasn't very nice to yourself. And I don't like the way you just talked to yourself. And so I'd like you to try that again. So it's about correcting the toddler brain of ours one thought at a time, because really it becomes a habit. We just get in bad habits very easy because our brain loves habits. And then this not being good friends to ourselves becomes a habit. So just start by like, no, stop. That was very unkind for you to just say to yourself. And I want you to take it back, to say it differently, to do it in a more kind way, and progress from there. Are you feeling stuck in with love, wealth, or peace? Well, you're not alone. Often it's a subconscious belief holding you back. That's why I combined life coaching and hypnotherapy together, so you can break through what's been keeping you stuck. Life coaching helps you shift your mindset, while hypnotherapy works deep within to reprogram limiting beliefs and memories. It's fast, it's effective, typically one session of each, and I have a few openings left. Are you ready for a change? Visit livebrighter.info and book your free consultation and see if this approach is right for you. See you then. And so there's correcting the toddler brain. But on the other side, you have to praise the toddler. So for example, when they're kinder to themselves, ourselves is kinder to ourselves, like, good job. That was a lot nicer to yourself. That was a lot, that's progress. And so again, it's like correction and praise, just like we would a toddler. That's what we have to do to our brains. And then we also have to look up if there's specific hangups, because honestly, we all have hangups about our bodies and this and that. And so find out what our specific hangups are, and then, just kind of reevaluate, look at that a little bit deeper. For example, maybe I've always hated my legs. They feel like they're big. I can see the fat on them. And so, I've been really mean to myself with my legs and being like, oh my goodness, those legs look so fat, like little chicken leg, fat little legs, whatever. I mean, we can be horrible to ourselves. But rather than being like, oh, I love my legs, they're amazing, our body picks up that that's a lie. And so we just have to start with, you know what, I actually appreciate my legs because they've helped me stand for all these years. And so we have to kind of do these baby steps of progression and look a little bit deeper into our hangups, or maybe find out why am I so mean about my legs, and go a little deeper. Why is that? Do some barf notebook process, which is barf it out, sort it out, go a little deeper, and then plan it out and figure out, okay, you know what? Every time I say that to myself, this is what I'm going to say instead, because I planned it out and went a little deeper. That I remember my Uncle Leo insulted my legs when I was 13 and going through puberty, and now I just have hated my legs ever since. And I'm like, no more. I'm going to start with this thought, and every time I think about my legs in a mean way or say something insulting, I'm going to say this instead. So that's looking at the specific hang-up. And lastly, we have to just download the encourager or the cheerleader into our brains. And the way we do that is sometimes you can decide if I think of an encourager or a cheerleader for me, that person was maybe my best friend in high school, or that was my aunt. If you have a person, you can kind of create that persona in your mind. I like to add Jesus, because my view of Jesus is he's very loving and encouraging. But having someone that's going to encourage and cheer on you all the freaking time. And that is really important, because a lot of times we don't allow ourselves to embrace that. And that is the most loving, kind thing we can do, is give the encouragement maybe we would give to others, but give it to ourselves. And so that is really, really important, is just start to download that encourager. And one way you can do that is every time you're critical or mean, you can say, well, what would that encourager say in this situation? You know, you made a mistake at work. What would that encourager or that coach say in this situation? And so it allows us to reframe our thinking and to be more friends, kind to ourselves. And that is hugely important. So as we move forward in becoming better friends with ourselves, there's a couple things that can also help. For example, you can print off a picture of yourself younger and just regularly give that person love and compassion. You can also make some affirmations for yourself that are specific to maybe areas that you struggle with, and just remind yourself of those things. You can have actually a stuffed animal and just give that stuffed animal love like you would give your younger version. Something like that. So right now we're going to end with a visualization. So I want you to just take a deep breath in and breathe out. And if you're in a place where you can close your eyes, so not driving, then do that. But take another deep breath in. And I want you to breathe out slowly. I want you to think about a younger version of you that you've been critical against. And I want you to visualize that younger version. And then I want you to go back in time to that younger version. And I want you to just look at that scene and what that younger version of you is going through. Next, I want you to give that younger version what she or he needed that she or he they weren't getting at the time, and give that to her right now. And then I want you to just give that younger version some love and realize that without that younger version, you wouldn't be where you are at now. And whatever they went through, they survived it because you're here now. So give that younger version some gratitude. Now I want you to come back to where you are now. And then I just want you to repeat after me. And I want you to just take another deep breath in and breathe out. And just say, I'm choosing to be better friends with myself each and every day. And then I'm choosing to accept all parts of me and choosing to appreciate all parts of myself. I'm choosing to correct and reframe and retrain my brain so that we are better friends. I'm choosing to prioritize my wants, needs, and desires, and knowing that they're just as important as everybody else's. I'm also choosing to be curious about myself, about things that make me happy, about things that make me sad, about things that bring me joy, and to look at myself with curiosity and grace. And I'm choosing to grow 1% at a time. Make it a great day. Become better friends with yourself. And I'll see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye. Stay tuned for our next episode.